Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. We're on our MMA show here this evening, and today I have a full house, so I'm joined by three very special guests here today. So I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Jamie Mackey Murphy. He's a podcast regular, and I'm joined by Levi Whelan, and I'm joined by Chopper Boland. So we do have a full house here today. How's it going, lads? How are you this evening?
I'm good.
All right, not a matter.
My real name is actually Chopper. Just put
I didn't know that actually. I actually thought it was Chopper, to be honest. So.
And so, lads, what's brought us here this evening is obviously the massive event tomorrow night in UFC 254. So for anyone who was living under a rock, basically tomorrow is a massive event in the world of MMA. A very massive main event tomorrow between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Justin Gaethje. It's the biggest fight in the lightweight division in quite some time. So it's a very exciting event for all MMA fans across the world. So look, I suppose we're going to get right into it straight away. Like it's a massive event, and there's a lot of talk heading into this fight saying that this is Khabib's kind of toughest opponent, stylistically, because of Justin Gaethje's kind of wrestling background and the fact he's very good on the feet as well. Joe Levi, I'm going to come to you first with regards to this fight. Like, who do you think kind of has the advantage coming into this fight? Because Khabib looks like he's after having a tough weight cut. You've seen kind of the pictures kind of Khabib, Joe, recently. Like, do you think maybe it's just going to be another kind of Khabib domination, or I think maybe Justin Gaethje is going to pull off the shock of the world?
I fancy Gaethje to win. It's kind of the first time Khabib's fought like a really good wrestler. Like his last few opponents, we say you would have like McGregor, a striker, Dustin Poirier, a striker. Before that, then you had like Michael Johnson, Ale Quinta, a striker with a bit of wrestling, but not great. Before that, Edson Barboza. So like he's fought all these strikers, but I really think if Gaethje can keep the fight in the center of the octagon and stay away from the cage, because that's where all Khabib's work is done. It's at the cage. I think he can do it. I think he can finish him. I think Justin knows now as well. Like obviously, the longer Khabib's fighting, the more fights he has. People are starting to realise like the game plan against him. If you can just keep your back off the cage, you have a huge chance, because he struggled against McGregor to take him down when he was in the middle of the octagon in round 3. Against Ale Quinta in round 3 and 4, he couldn't take him down because Ale Quinta kept his stayed at the centre of the octagon. He couldn't take him down. So I think if Gaethje, and he's a really high level wrestler as well, he was an All-American in 2009 or 10. If he can hold his ground in the middle of the octagon, and he's a really good striker as well. He kind of turned the corner when he got he was beaten by Alvarez and Poirier in back-to-back fights, and after that then he turned the corner. He started being more patient, and he's a completely different fighter. He was actually beating Alvarez fairly handy in that, but he turned into a slugfest then. But yeah, I think if he can stay at the centre of the octagon, I think he'll finish him in round 2 or 3. I fancy a Gaethje TKO.
Gaethje TKO. And Jamie, like, how do you feel about this fight? Because you're like, obviously, like, look, before this, you weren't a massive kind of fan of Khabib, kind of stylistically, though he wasn't a fighter that really excited you too much. Like, do you believe this is going to be another like Khabib domination, or do you, as Levi said, you'd maybe think like Justin Gaethje's skill set is required to kind of beat Khabib?
It's just so hard to know, really. That's the first part of it. Like, I agree with everything that Levi is saying in terms of how Gaethje can win this fight and all them steps, like watching back in the regular fight, like even early on, like the takedowns that Khabib was attempting, he's always trying to pull you to the cage. Like that's what he wants to do. Like it's almost like he's just wrestling you into there. And once he gets there, then it's the hand over the mouth, all that kind of stuff, and it's really suffocating and it's really draining on the body and all that kind of stuff. I watched Craig Jones' breakdown yesterday of the McGregor and Khabib finish, and McGregor did absolutely incredible before the finish. Like he was doing everything right, but it was fatigue that was setting in, that was causing him to lose control of it. Justin is going to be much better at defense than McGregor was. McGregor is very high level. We can't let that go either. Like, people are going to say like we're all Irish here and we're defending McGregor and all that, but he's very high level now at jiu-jitsu and takedown.
Very good, yeah.
We can't take it away from him. Do you know what I mean? Like, but Justin, if he keeps in the center of the octagon, he will cause Khabib massive problems. Even that first takedown that Khabib attempted on McGregor shifted his hip and kind of almost like hipped him kind of almost like he did against against Cowboy.
Yeah.
He kind of hipped him, and he had a bit of control there for a second. He wasn't in too much trouble. Justin will be better than that. He'll feel even more comfortable. The more I'm going towards the fight, I'm more thinking that Justin might actually have enough. The weight cut today was kind of a little bit. I know Khabib struggles anyway. He struggles anyway with weight cuts. It's whatever kind of body he has. Even the weight cut today, you see his ribs and his back was just so big compared to his arms. His arms look so skinny. It's like he can't lose the weight off his midriff because it's just his shape. But his face was very gone today, and he didn't look great. In the face-off, he looked much better. But yeah, I think Gaethje might actually do it. I think Levi's actually convinced me there. He's kind of convinced me.
Saying the chopper all week in work.
I'm back and forth. You know what I mean? The more I watch Khabib as well, and the more obviously BT Sports and UFC, I suppose Fight Week is the best of any sport. There's no sport in the world that has better coverage on Fight Week. It's fucking amazing. And you can be a massive fan of the sport and you can watch that week and you'll learn something new about the fighters or a style or something, and they're like, Jesus, that's fucking deadly. You know what I mean? And this week I've actually appreciated Khabib even more for the things he actually does because of watching what he's doing and certain breakdowns. And Dan Hardy did a brilliant breakdown 3 weeks ago on his podcast. Really good. But I think Gaethje, yeah. I think Gaethje might do it. I'm actually starting to go towards it. But if Khabib gets him to the fence and keeps him there,
there's no defending it from the fence.
There's no defending that. And I think Gaethje's wrestling defense is really good, but on his back, I don't think he'll be good at all. I think that he'll be even probably. I think on his back, he'll be even not as good as McGregor. I think McGregor is will be better on his back than what Justin will be. So yeah, I think Khabib will win it. Khabib will win it.
You just flip flop there, Jamie.
Yeah. But that's what's brilliant about the sport, though, isn't it? Because of the fact that we're not fans of both both fighters. We're not being biased towards either fighter. It isn't like you and the lads talking on the podcast earlier about soccer. You're both going to analyze the match. You're still going to have bias towards your own team. And when it comes to UFC, that's completely out the window. You actually look at what both skill sets are and what both fighters are, and that's how you break the fight down, and that's how you analyze it. And that's what's brilliant about UFC. But yeah, I think I want Justin to win so badly. I really do want Justin to win so badly because that opens the division up even more. Because there's people that will definitely beat Justin.
Yeah,
will definitely beat Justin. Conor will definitely beat Justin.
Yeah.
Poirier again potentially could beat Justin. Do you know what I mean? There's so many fights there. Michael Chandler could beat Justin. Michael Chandler could beat Khabib. It's a load of different things. So I'm really looking forward to it. That's my analyze now.
And Chopper, I spoke to Levi during the week, and Levi was telling me that you yourself were kind of in the massive corner of Khabib. You thought Khabib was going to win, but it looks like now, with the lads were saying, are you kind of going towards the same? So lads, you think maybe Justin Gaethje might pull off the shock, or are you kind of still in the Khabib camp? That's it, 29-0.
I've gone 50-50 all week. I think Khabib could be like the Mayweather of MMA, where we always think someone's going to come up and beat him, and we give every reason why this guy is the guy to beat him, and then it doesn't happen, and he keeps he keeps going. But after obviously listening to everyone, but before this, I actually wrote a few things down on a notepad because I was talking to a friend of mine on the phone, and he was like, you need to go back and watch that Barboza fight, watch these highlights. And even though Barboza got mauled in that fight, and you'll see it mauling, Khabib took a lot of body shots, and anytime he feints, he resets, and he's always open to the body. And if you actually look at Justin Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson, Gaethje threw so many shots to the body, kicks and punches. He threw a left to the body and then a right hand over the top. And all of that in the center of the octagon. I do think Gaethje will keep the center of the octagon. I don't even think he'll be afraid. Like, he's going to put Khabib under pressure. I don't think Khabib will actually do well under pressure. No one pressures Khabib. I think everybody keeps their distance because they're so afraid of his level change and they're going to get taken down. Instead, they stay on the outside of the octagon where Khabib wants you. So he corners you, presses you up against the fence. But Gaethje's like, nah, I'm just going to go straight for him. I think he will. I think he'll start booting the legs off him. I think there was a nice little clip I saw earlier on where Barboza inside low kicks Khabib's leg and he's square-footed. But Barboza doesn't do anything about it because it's Barboza. You know what I mean? But Gaethje is a more clever and intellectual fighter. He'll see that gap. He'll see that open. He has one of the best coaches, Trevor Whitmore, in MMA. And I think he's probably one of the best coaches right now that there is. I think they've probably come up with a massive game plan. So for me, being a massive Khabib at camp and saying he's going to win probably till yesterday, maybe this morning as well, I probably said he's going to win. Because, and still you go with the champ always. I just think Khabib, not even just in skills, I think Khabib struggles against a real athlete. And I think that, like Jamie said, the BT Sport coverage this week has been outstanding. And one thing they did show is Gaethje is a real athlete. Like, I didn't know he played quarterback. Apparently he can throw the ball like 65 yards. He's a great golfer. Like, that's insane. Who's the one guy I always thought that would beat Khabib is GSP, because GSP is a great athlete. Yeah. I think Khabib will struggle against a great athlete. Now, like we say, we talk about the wrestling. Khabib is adamant he's going to wrestle for 25 minutes straight. That's tough on anyone. He's just saying, I'm not going to break him mentally. I'm going to get his muscles tired, and then I'm going to finish him. If Khabib does that, I don't think anyone beats him. After that, I just give up. I won't ever.
Just on that, Chopper. Just on that with Khabib, he's only went 5 rounds once, and that was probably his worst performance against Ale Quinta. Yeah. So I'm not even certain if he'd be able to. Like in round 3, he started to tire against McGregor. I don't know if he'd be able to go 5 rounds.
He keeps talking about it. He kept talking about he has this good jab. He's this great jab. Ale Quinta stood in front of him and just took every jab in the face.
It's like Homer Simpson or something.
Yeah, like even when you look at his jab, it's actually the worst jab in the world. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I think Gaethje beats him. I'm going Gaethje. I can't believe we're all going Gaethje.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, like I'll be honest. Like, I love a good underdog story, whether it's in any sport, whether it's MMA, boxing, football, you name it. Like, I love a good underdog story. And like, look, seeing Justin Gaethje, like, he seems like a pretty stand-up guy. Like, do you know what I mean? And look, does his fighting style, I absolutely love it. Like, he just goes hell for leather every time he goes in there. He leaves it all in the octagon when he goes in there. And he's someone who I think could put Khabib under pressure. Like, I know people always talk about that Michael Johnson fight where he got rocked once. Michael Johnson never kind of, like, went in for the kill and never kind of done it. I think with Justin Gaethje, as you said, like, he's much more educated than a Michael Johnson or Edson Barboza or Ale Quinta. I think Gaethje goes in there, gets him out of there, and because I backed it today in Paddy Powers, I've gone with a Gaethje stoppage.
Yeah, it could happen. I think it will happen. As I said, it's the first time he's fought someone like that. That has that wrestling background and has really high level striking. But as Jamie said, if he does get him down to the ground, I don't know how well Gaethje will do. We'll say if Khabib gets on his back, I think he'll choke him out. Like, but I don't think he'll get to that. I don't think he's going to be able to get him down. I think Gaethje's smart enough now just to hold the centre of the octagon and go from there.
I think what Chopper was saying too about Trevor Whitman too is unbelievable because it's like it's not even like it's like the mental side of the sport too. What Trevor Whitman's kind of got into Gaethje, that I can't think who was saying it. Was it Dan Hardy? Chopper might be saying during the week that it was against
Tony Ferguson, is it?
Against Ferguson, he was like really excited and hopping around the place, and Whitman was kind of like, you need to fucking calm down, Pat, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. He's like, okay, I know what I need to do now. And it's just like, I think having someone in your corner that basically can switch that moment of concentration on your head, and you're like, against Khabib, that's very, very important.
Yeah, and no fans as well, so it helps.
Yeah, we're saying no fans will be a big factor too. But yeah, look, it's I actually
especially over there. Especially over there, because when he fought Poirier, anytime he done something good, the crowd was going fucking nuts. Like, if he threw a jab, the crowd was fucking going wild. So That'll be a big
bad
jab.
A bad jab, like, you know, if you're stiff and all. Another fight that's on there the weekend is Jared Cannonier versus Robert Whittaker. Now, this is a massive fight in the middleweight division. Obviously, we'll chat about in the while, though, in regards to Israel Adesanya and his kind of dominance over Paulo Costa. But quickly, I'd just like to get your thoughts kind of on that fight coming up, because it seems to be a 50-50 fight, and a lot of people are kind of torn on Whittaker and Cannonier. Chopper, I'm going to come to you first with regards to that. How do you see that going down tomorrow night?
Robert Whittaker wins a very boring decision.
Levi, how do you see that going down?
I was talking to Chopper yesterday and Mark about it, and it could go that way because Cannonier, since he dropped down to middleweight, he's very patient. Like he kind of waits. When he fought David Branch, he caught him. He was too much standing there, and Branch threw something, and Cannonier so powerful, he caught him a dig and he was gone. With Silva as well, same thing. Silva's doing all his fucking hand things, and Cannonier hit him with a leg kick and blew his knee out. But he's very patient. But I think Whittaker, I think Cannonier is going to win at maybe a decision. That one now that's the flip flop when I'm going flip flop on that one all day. I'm saying Whittaker 1 second and Cannonier, but it could go that way where like Robert Whittaker's smart enough not to jump in against Cannonier because he knows he'll get clipped. And Cannonier, I don't think he's going to change his style where he's going to kind of go after Whittaker. So it could be kind of like a chess match, like kind of like Stephen Thompson and Till, where two of them are kind of just staying on the outside and waiting for an opening. But yeah, if I'd go Cannonier, Cannonier decision. Yeah, and just on Cannonier, actually, remember when McGregor fought Cerrone? McGregor said he was the first person to win by knockout in 3 different divisions. Cannonier won heavyweight, light heavyweight, and then middleweight, all 3 by knockout in the different divisions before McGregor. So, yeah, Cannonier for the win.
And Jamie, like, how do you see it going down? Like, the lads are kind of saying it's going to be like a cagey affair. It's going to be a cagey fight. Do you believe it's going to be the same, or do you have any kind of other different opinions with regards to that?
Yeah, the last couple of Whittaker fights have been cagey anyway. I think it'll be like Till and Whittaker in some sense, the same fight. I'd say a Whittaker win as well. I don't think it's going to be a middleweight classic, to be honest. And I think Whittaker just wants to probably get through the fight with as less damage as possible and potentially fight Israel again. I was actually surprised. Whittaker always surprised me with his size, but I always think he's smaller than what he actually is. But when he was standing beside Cannonier today for the face-off, he actually looked bigger than Cannonier. I was really surprised about it. Even against Till, I thought Till would be massive compared to Whittaker. But I think it'll be a straightforward fight, very, very touchy for the 5 rounds and go to decision. And it could be like, obviously we're 50-50 on it. I think the judge might be 50-50 on it too, and it might go to either. But I think Whittaker will just be a little bit more clever. I see like Whittaker a little bit like Stipe in a sense, because he's a bit kind of like just really patient, really clever, knows the game so well at the moment. And I think that he'll probably win by decision. Very, very close though. Very close.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go the same as he does. I think Whittaker, again, like, he's a very patient fighter. He's someone, though, who's not going to make too many mistakes. You've seen that over his career. He's not someone who makes too many mistakes, though. He's a very patient fighter. And I think with Cannonier, again, I don't think he wins tomorrow. I don't think he has enough in the locker to beat someone like Whittaker. Whittaker is very well-rounded. So I think we get Whittaker a 3-round decision. We'll all be bored of the fight. We'll all want Khabib and Justin to come on. I think we'll all be kind of just... It's kind of one of them fights you pick up the remote control and it's like, what's next? Like, do you know what I mean? It's not something that massively excites me, because the main event is obviously, though, the main talking point of tomorrow's card.
Unless Cannonier goes out and knocks him out. Cannonier could just go out and starch him in one round.
Cannonier's knockout's a heavyweight, light heavyweight, you know, and Whittaker's been knocked out by Stephen Thompson at welterweight before as well, you know, so he has been knocked out.
That is mental, yeah. Look, I think if we're all proven wrong, it's a great thing, because we're getting a good fight. You know what I mean? So if it isn't a poor decision, and it's a fucking second. If it's a
fight of the year
knockout, fight of the year. Brilliant. We're all proven wrong.
We'll be talking about on the review of this card, like, Jesus Christ, we were wrong. Like, do you know what I mean? But look, again, as Jamie said, we'd be happy that we'd be wrong, though, with regards to it. Just talking about the UFC middleweight division, Israel Adesanya absolutely dominated Paulo Costa recently, a couple of weeks ago, and there was a fight that many fight fans thought that Costa was going to go out and starch Izzy, that Izzy's kind of kryptonite. I know I was speaking to Levi recently, and Levi thought, though, that Costa would have beaten Israel And, you know, I kind of agreed with him after seeing the Gastelum fight. It was kind of seeing that style against Izzy. Izzy did take a lot of punishment against Kelvin. And I thought if he takes that type of punishment against someone with the power and the ferociousness of Paulo Costa, I thought it could have went like that too. But look, I was wrong. And Israel just absolutely, you know, it was flawless, the performance. He really did dominate Paulo Costa. I'd like to get your thoughts, lads, just on that fight itself and kind of, I suppose, the aftermath kind of Izzy on social media, kind of, as Ariel Helwani kind of called him, Internet Izzy. And you know, it's kind of striking again. Chopper, I want to get your thoughts on it there.
Yeah. So that fight, I thought that Paulo Costa was going to go out and probably knock Izzy's head off, and judging by that Gastelum fight, like me and Levi, we talk about a lot of UFC and work, and we were shocked. It was like Paulo like shot himself. It actually reminded me of a fight I saw between Rory MacDonald and Tyron Woodley back years ago, when they were bigging up Tyron Woodley to be this monster. He was coming in, he was KOing guys in Strikeforce. He came in and he just froze. It's like he froze on the stage, or Rory MacDonald jabbed the head off him all night. And that's just what happened. Now, Paulo Costa comes out and says he was hinting that something was wrong. You know what I mean? That there was something like maybe he had an injury. That doubt will always be there, but he's not going to get a rematch anytime soon. And on Internet Izzy, I think he's always going to be second place to Darren Till, because Darren Till is the best guy on Twitter. He's down. It doesn't matter what he's done to Mike Perry. I don't care. No one's topping that. So yeah.
And like Levi, what's your thoughts on that fight? Because again, like we had a heavy conversation about this, like coming up to that fight. We were both like, even though I'm a massive Israel Adesanya fan, but I thought he's Izzy's kryptonite. Like he's someone who I think could go in and absolutely start him. Like, what do you assess? How do you assess?
Yeah, like I thought, like as Chopper, I thought it was going to go that way, because after watching Costa against Romero and the first 2 rounds, Costa was just running after Romero. Like Romero was a fella you don't go after. Costa was running around the fucking octagon after him. You know, he's trying to get him out of there. And then the third one went to Romero. And then with people saying, oh, it could have went either way, but Costa definitely won the first 2. But I was standing, you look at Izzy's fight against Gastelum, and he got, like, Gastelum could have finished him in that fight, you know, there was chances to finish him. And I was just thinking, like, Costa and his size and his power, it's like he's going to get him out of there. I was like, inside 2 rounds, once he lands one, you look at Izzy, like, you'd look at him and say, he'd make welterweight, no problem. You know, he just looks small, like, real skinny. So he's going to hit him and he's going to drop him. And then he just came out, and Izzy he was just afraid to engage him, whatever. Like Izzy like Costa was kind of play acting as well, but Izzy just had him under control from when the bell rang. He went out, and Izzy had him under control for the whole fight. But I looked at that, and after that fight, I was thinking, if Izzy goes up and fights Jones, I'm not sure was Jones after leaving to go with the belt at that time already, or to leave it after. But I was thinking if he goes up, I think, like I say, he'll beat Jones. I was looking at that saying he beats, because Jones is grappling. He hasn't used it much in the last few years. Like before, he used to get him on the ground and he'd be elbowing and stuff. But the last few years, since he's off the juice, really, John Jones, he just hasn't been the same fighter. So I was looking at that saying, is he beats Jones now?
Allegedly,
yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, look, it was unbelievable. One of the best middleweight performances I've seen in years. And looking at that, the only person I see give him a challenge now, like if Cannonier or Whittaker get through this fight, I still don't think any of them will beat Izzy. Who I think it'd be a tough fight for Izzy. He'd still beat him, I'd say, but if Till beats Hermanson, I think Till and Adesanya would be a good fight, but it could be one of them real boring fights, like 2 point fighters just trying to get points in the fight. But can't see Jan beating Adesanya soon. He could take the belt at light heavyweight if he wanted. He'll beat Jan, no problem. But he's loads of choices now, so he's in a good place.
And like Jamie, as we kind of alluded to, like Internet Izzy, he had a bit of beef with John Jones recently online. He was talking about John Jones and kind of his alleged drug use. Like what do you make of that whole kind of argument?
He basically made fucking Jones admit that he fucking did something wrong. Like, it was absolutely amazing. Like Jesus Christ. Like, the one thing I want to say about Izzy also, the Internet Izzy is unbelievable. He's great and all, but there's no other fight in the UFC who learns from the previous fight as much as Israel Adesanya. Like, and I think that's the reason why he's done so well in the Costa fight. I think he learned so much from the Gastelum fight, in the sense where he just knew how to be in control. And he's actually, you know what, he's actually amazing. He's the only champion really I can see now, apart from Khabib, because Khabib is going to finish in the next two fights. He's the only champion where I can see someone beating him. I can't. In middleweight, I just cannot see. Like, I can't see Cannonier beating him. I can see Whittaker it being a different result than the first time. So it's Till will be a really good spectacle, I think, in terms of the build-up. It'd probably be the best build-up to a fight of all time, like with all the memes and stuff. And
put it on, if it was on in England when the fans are back, some atmosphere.
Jesus Christ, like it'd be unbelievable. Like, but yeah, no, Izzy is great, man. I really like. I like his personality. I like his style. I like everything about him. I like the way he's challenging challengers too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it isn't like they're calling him out. People are actually like, he's actually saying, look, I want to fight you next. Come on, win that fight now and I'll fight you. Like, that's fucking deadly. Like, you know what I mean? That doesn't happen enough. And he just becomes really relevant then to the fans. Like we're talking about him now, a month out from his fight, which shouldn't really happen. It should just be all but Khabib tonight. But Izzy is so relevant with his memes and internet Izzy that, and his fighting style, it's everything. That we just love him and we just keep talking about him, which is pretty deadly, I think, in fairness to.
And lads, there's another fight that's potentially coming up, which isn't made official yet. It's probably going to be made official after this weekend, most likely, is Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. Now, this is a fight, obviously, that happened back in 2014, and I suppose both fighters are after evolving so much recently. Like, Conor McGregor did stop him in the first round, the first time they fought back in 2014. Like, Levi, I just want to get your thoughts about that fight. Like, potentially now they're saying, look, it might be happening at 170. Dana White and Khabib are saying it needs to happen at 155 for these two lads to kind of, they'll be challenging for the title next. Depends whoever wins, Gaethje or Khabib. Like, how do you break that fight down? Do you maybe think, does it go differently the last time, or do you maybe think though that?
Yeah, firstly, I'm not convinced it's going to go ahead. I think the hold up is waiting to see what happens this weekend. I think if Gaethje beats Khabib, they'll try and do Gaethje and McGregor, maybe in January or February. I think that's why they're holding up the whole McGregor Poirier. But if it does go ahead, it'll be 155, as Dana White said. He said there's no need for it to be 170. Two of them are 155 fighters. Won't make a huge difference. They're only cutting a small bit away. Two of them are small 170ers if they did fight at that. Yeah, I think McGregor beats him whenever they fight it. He's just Poirier's the type of fighter that'll suit McGregor. Like, he's going to stand there in front of him. He's going to box. He'll throw a few kicks. You know, he's not going to try and take McGregor down. It's going to be a kickboxing fight. And you're not going into a fight like that against McGregor. McGregor's going to take you out of there. Like if McGregor fights Justin Gaethje, like Gaethje doesn't use his wrestling when he's fighting. McGregor beats Gaethje if they fight. If someone stands in front of McGregor at that weight, McGregor will beat him. It's only when someone like Khabib will beat McGregor 99 times out of 100 because he'll just take him down. But I could see McGregor taking him out in the first or second. It could go something like Cowboy. McGregor will catch him straight away and Poirier will go down. Like Poirier's been finished plenty of times. And I think he'd finish him again if they fought. But yeah, I'm not convinced it's going to go ahead. I think that's the hold up. I think they're waiting to see what happens Saturday, and if Gaethje wins, they'll try and do that Gaethje McGregor fight. And
like Jamie, what do you make this fight? Like, do you think maybe, obviously Poirier is evolved massively, and since his jump up to 155, he seems to be kind of a more of a evolved fighter, and that weight cut isn't killing him either. Like, do you maybe think it goes differently, or do you think, again, as Levi said, you maybe see McGregor maybe taking him out early?
Yeah, no, I can't really say any different than what Levi said there, to be honest. Everything he said is absolutely spot on. I think that even though he's had this career, I suppose, renaissance, and he looks unbelievable the last couple of fights, he still hasn't fought someone that is as heavy-handed as what McGregor is. He's fought lads that are they're not power punchers. They're a build up. They'll punch for 5 rounds, but the power just isn't there at all. And you could argue Gaethje maybe. You can maybe argue Gaethje.
Yeah, that Gaethje was a different fighter as well. He was just a slugger, like.
Yeah, it's still a little bit different though. I think Gaethje still isn't that trigger. Like, do you know what I mean? Gaethje still holds a bit of power back there where he can keep going. But yeah, no, I think it's the same result. I think second round, if it was going to be a fight between Poirier and McGregor at 155, second round McGregor, I think all day that would be the bet I'd have. I think he'd hurt him in the first round. I think Poirier would come out in the second round a little bit dazed, and he finished him off.
And Chopper, like, what do you think? Do you think maybe this go? Do you think again McGregor domination? Do you think maybe McGregor plays the mind games again until Poirier is just absolutely gone again, or do you think maybe Poirier might come out on top?
I think if they fight, McGregor wins, echoing the two lads. I definitely see and kind of agreed with Levi's kind of storyline on what the UFC might be thinking. My only fear is if Gaethje wins, UFC might go, well, yeah, we could do McGregor and Poirier, but Khabib's loss is 0. Like, the rematch is going to be huge. He has the excuse, like, unfortunately, his father did pass away. That's always going to be that thing that's probably going to overshadow Gaethje's win if he does win this Saturday, sadly. And that's just how the media will try to spin things. Jamie said something interesting earlier on, that Izzy is one of the very few fighters in the UFC that learns from past fights. I think Poirier has done a brilliant job of doing that as well. But McGregor is obsessed with learning from past fights. Like, it's actually sick. He actually annoys me on Twitter times when he goes on about, like, he's going on about Khabib. I'm like, man, shut up. But you know what? I think Khabib's coach, Mendes, came out and said that he thinks McGregor is more dangerous than Gaethje. And I do agree. Like, I think if McGregor gets that rematch and we get a McGregor that was motivated like he was against Cowboy, I reckon that McGregor could beat Khabib, in my opinion. But yeah, I think McGregor beats Dustin. I think Ale Quinta said it brilliantly. He's already checked out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he did. Yeah, it was brilliant. I think too. The question I always ask people is: the McGregor who fought Alvarez the same card as the Khabib that fought Johnson, who wins that night? Like,
yeah, you know.
And I think Conor wins that night, both of them fight.
Yeah, that was prime Conor. He'll never get to that level again. That was just absolute peak, and he was just there was no whiskey that night.
No whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, I think again, McGregor, I think it'd be like kind of similar to the Alvarez fight. I think he just picks him off that first round. I think he comes out fast, he comes out firing. I think again that one of his main threats is that stabbing front kick to the body. I think he hits Poirier at that a couple of times, sets up that left hand, probably scores a knockdown that round. And again, echoing what Jamie said, second round, McGregor just goes in and stops him. And look, hopefully we get to see that fight again, because I suppose one of the best things is seeing McGregor active. Like, it's all well and good seeing him on social media, and look, some of the stuff he does come out with on social media though is quite hilarious. But the Conor McGregor we all know and love is the man who was active and the man who went on to win the 2 world titles. And I think to see him getting back into the octagon is something that we need to see very soon. Because again, I think it was all well and good him getting that Mayweather money, and like it was good for him to make that step up to fight Mayweather. But we do need to see a fit and active Conor McGregor again, because again, it's one thing talking on social media, but you have to go in the octagon, you have to back it up at the end of the day.
True that.
Yeah, you'd hope he wouldn't go and fight Poirier, and then in his tweet, like he was saying that he wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao after that, and it'll just be a big circle again. He'll fight Pacquiao, he'll get another. He won't get that money. He'll get big money, but not 100 million. He'll get maybe 50, 60 million maybe, and then he could be gone again for another year and a half. Fucking partying again, and that'd be the end of him. He won't come back the second time. So you'd hope if he does fight Poirier, he'll get a title shot straight away and get his title back, and go from there. But if he fights Manny Pacquiao, that's him finished. He'll never.
Yeah, that's him done. 100%.
What do you make of the Hamzat Leon Edwards news? Just has been announced there, December 19th.
What?
December 19th. Just announced there, is it?
Main event, yeah.
My phone on airplane mode. Oh fuck!
I must hit Twitter now. Actually, there. 1 second there.
That's a risky fight.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Edwards, it's very risky because they blow the hype train. I think it'll be a Leon Edwards boring decision, and it does nothing for Edwards, and then they kill Chimaev's fucking rise.
Man, they're actually after pressure on Edwards and taking this, pull him out of the rankings and say, "No,
he's put back in. He got put back in number 3 there. Like,
if you're Edwards, you're just like, I don't know. Like, people say, why would you take that fight? That's a huge risk. You're about to just potentially kill one of the biggest popular stars in the UFC. It's kind of like the McGregor when he was coming up. People wanted to fight him. And you know what, Levi? I think Chimaev wins.
I hope he does. Jesus, I hope he does. No, I'm saying if Edwards beats him in decision, it does nothing for either of them. Edwards not going to get a title shot for a decision win over him, But like, Chimaev's a bigger name now than anyone outside, like Kobe Usman, George Masvidal. He's a bigger name than like Magny and a few of these lads.
That's at 170, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's at 170. Lad, Chimaev, he's going to uppercut him in the fucking space.
If he wins that fight, like literally, the rankings go. Which like Edwards is then unranked. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
After that, and do you think that it's Masvidal maybe next for Hamza after that?
No.
Say Masvidal Kobe will probably be January or February, I would presume.
Yeah.
So depending on how that gets on.
Although they're both in love with Donald Trump.
And watch Connor's supposed to be coming back. What about mind seeing his chimney of Nick Diaz if Nick Diaz came back? That'd be a fucking cracker.
That'd be a scrap and a half. That'd really be a scrap and a half. Do you see what do you think about who's next for Nate Diaz, lads? They're saying that there's talk of Dan Hooker. Like, what do you make of that?
That was a strange one, yeah.
It would be a good fight, but the thing is, Nate Diaz has fought, say, McGregor twice and got good money. He then turned down a load of fights, fought Pettis as a comeback fight, fought Jorge and got big money. He's not going to get big money to fight Dan Hooker. He wrecks my fucking head, man. Fight. He'll only fight McGregor again. I'd love to see Diaz McGregor 3, but
I think
what about this scenario?
Go on, Keith.
What about this scenario, right? McGregor Diaz, Fight Island, no fans. You can just hear him every shot and hear him talking shit to each other. And I think that's just something I'd love to see now.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons for that. Like, obviously, like the crowd and the press conference and stuff, like that's huge for that kind of fight. But then again, like being able to actually hear everything in the octagon, like that'd be something else as well. Especially for a trilogy, especially for that fight, But I just like to see him fight anyway, regardless if it's crowd or no crowd. You have to see that third fight, like it has to happen.
Yeah, 100%. Lads, so just before you go, Chopper usually does these on social media, but he has his tips, and he's usually bang on the money because I've taken some of his tips before and I've won money off his tips on Facebook. So Chopper, for our viewers, do you have any tips for tomorrow night's card in terms of betting?
So look, I'm going with an underdog treble. All I will say is that the Whittaker and Cannonier fight, they're both 10-11 on Bet365. So I can't decide between the two of them. I think Robin Whittaker would win. So you could actually do a tenner on both bets, and you could do Gaethje, Whittaker, or Cannonier. And I do think that fucking Walt Harris actually will beat Volkov tomorrow. And here's the thing, right? I think Volkov is crazy. I think Walt Harris is 6-4. Walt Harris obviously went through a big tragedy and he got bet by Alistair Overeem in his last fight. He wasn't right in the head, that's for sure. Yeah. Before that, he fucking KO'd some lad in 50 seconds. And then he beat that Russian. I wrote down his name, Oilenek. Do you know the guy that has like something
Oilenek,
like...
Ben Verdun there recently.
He knocked him out in 12 seconds.
Hasn't even got a neck this fella, he's like that.
Yeah. He takes so many shots. I just think Walt Harris, and you see him in the embedded, he looks fresh. He looked happy in himself. I don't know. I think he's motivated. I think
a dangerous man, yeah.
A treble, right? A tenor treble, whether you go with Whittaker or Cannonier, is nearly 16-1. Do you know what I mean?
Is it?
Yeah, nearly 16-1, Leva, right? If you've done a tenor on both trebles and covered the bet there, you know what I mean? You're getting back like nearly on.
What if it's a draw?
Well, look, that's the gamble. That's the gamble, Levi. And you know what? It's crazy. That's just Gaethje to win at 5-2.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
If you think Gaethje's going to TKO, you're going to spice up your odds. So
it's like 4-1.
Like 4-1, yeah, I think.
Yeah, like God.
That other fight is on the card as well. It's the first one on the main card. Remember that fight there a few months ago? Remember the two boys were scrapping, and one of them was kind of playing possum, and the referee jumped in and stopped it. And he gave it as a TKO in Fairfield. Your man was like, he was playing fucking possum. He wasn't hurt, like. But they're fighting again tomorrow night, and your man was like doing all the fucking possum shit. He's 3-1 to win, and he was doing well in that fight. Like, he got clipped, but he was, it's the first fight of the main card. But he's 3-1 to win. I think that's some bet.
Yeah, that could be a single bet there.
Yeah,
definitely a single bet. Do you know what though? Choppers usually bang on the money, lads. So if you are placing bets tomorrow, please bet responsibly and do go to his 16-1 bet.
Use my promo code Chopper10 for an extra €10 into your Betfair account. I want a promo code now.
Always good to get the promotion out there. Lads, thanks very much for coming on tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on tonight to talk about the event tomorrow. And look, it'd be good to get you on again, very soon to talk about the upcoming events. So, anything to do with UFC, Bellator, the whole lot. And again, hopefully, I don't want to seem pro Justin Gaethje, but I am. Hopefully, Justin Gaethje goes out and gets the win tomorrow, because as you said, look, it opens up the lightweight division. There's so many exciting fights to come. So hopefully, we do get what we want to see tomorrow. Lads,
one last thing. I just say, lads, let's enjoy it tomorrow. It's very rare we're going to get a big fight card that's going to start at 7:00 tomorrow. That's the main card. Like, if you're watching soccer, you have Chelsea and Man United, and then you have the main card, the UFC starting.
The cards already started.
That's just heaven on a Saturday night. Like,
what a time to live, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. 16-1 on Bet365, folks. Justin Gaethje, come on. Robert Whittaker and Walt Harris. Let's do it. Come on.
Absolutely, lads. Look, have a nice evening. Enjoy your weekend as well, lads.
Cheers, Keen. Sound for that. All the best.
Good luck.
Much love.